So you like books, kids? I got the dog in me. So today's word is books. I'm here with
Sarah Karasek.
she is a published author, and we met at Turkey Hill. I was working there, and I used to bother her all the damn time.
Yep.
And one day I offered her to get in my car, and we went for a
I
ride.
was stupid and went in.
We're friends ever since. Those was like, what, 3 years ago?
Maybe longer even. I don't know.
This has been way more than 3 years ago.
I don't know time.
Me neither. Yeah, you're always busy doing books. Like, actually, up all night writing some books.
Yeah.
What book did you publish so far?
So The Little Punk Princess, a Fairy Tale is the first book that I wrote. It was published through Eraserhead Press. But then I also have an anthology that I put together. I did all the editing and stuff. It's 13 different authors. All I wrote was the intro.
And what's Thorology? I said it right?
Anthology.
I'm not going to repeat it, but close.
So that one's Weird Waypoints, a speculative travel guide to the between.
That's actually a good one, though.
Yeah.
I'm not. Your first one's really good too.
I like the anthology better, if I'm being honest.
Wow. I think I like yours because it's more personalized towards you. While the collection is, you could tell their personalities and who wrote through the anthology.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a doctor term. Um,
It was a lot of fun putting it together because I reached out to some of my favorite authors actually, and most of them sent something in. I got to read all kinds of stuff.
oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's not in the book that you actually liked?
Um. No, actually, there was one story that I liked that didn't make it in, but it didn't quite fit the prompt really. I don't remember it very well now though.
Yeah, this was no, I want to say like 2 years ago, last year. I know it was like relatively
I think
recent.
2 years ago. Yeah, the other cool thing about the anthology is that I have some authors from like right around our area, like within driving distance, and then there's other authors that are all the way in the UK.
I didn't know that you went that far with connections.
Yeah.
You're really cool. I know you're very well connected, especially through our local college, and you and their history buffs.
Oh yeah, I know some people in the historical societies around here.
There we go.
Actually, I know some authors in the historical societies around here.
I didn't even know there were some authors in there.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you read, like, what got you into reading?
Um, one of my earliest memories is my dad reading Lord of the Rings to me,
5 when he read that to you?
or maybe younger even. Like sometimes if I like wanted a bedtime story or we are going for a drive or something, he would just make up stories in that world too.
Okay, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember any of them or no?
Not really. Not really. There's a lot about hobbits.
He would be really good with D&D.
Yeah.
Did he do D&D?
No. Yeah, though. He had a few stories published in Field and Stream when he was like our age.
Oh,
Maybe a little bit younger even.
so you take after your father, literally with the passion of writing and reading.
Yeah.
What books do you remember back in, I guess, grade school and I guess college? Is there any like books that you like really stands out to you? Like anything impactful?
The Tomcat Myrrh by E.T.A. Hoffman was recommended to me by my favorite English professor. We read one of his short stories called The Golden Pot, and I just loved it so much. It was like, you need to read this. And I read it over the summer, and I loved it. I like just flew right through it. And then I got to the ending, and E.T.A. Hoffman passed away before he finished writing the book. And Dr. Riley didn't warn me ahead of time. So I got to the end and I was just like, what the fuck?
I feel like that's like the writer's like form of pranking on.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
Like you like wonderful book, but F you. Do you remember what that book was about?
It was about a tomcat named Murr.
I thought you were talking about the app when you said Tomcat.
No, an actual cat.
Okay.
But I don't remember real clearly. He goes on some adventures. There's like a lady cat that shows up in the window sometimes, and he goes out, and they have like a whole cat society thing going on.
Kind of like the movie Aristocats almost.
A little bit.
That's cool.
Like a more grown up version. Maybe there's some. I'm pretty sure there's some like political intrigue with the cat's owners and stuff that they're paying attention to. Like one of them might be like royalty or something.
Give me that book,
Yeah.
and then I'll read it. I've been reading books now myself, actually.
Yay.
You know, because I believe knowledge is power, especially with history, because history repeats itself all the time.
Yeah.
So, how important are books to you in society and how they integrate it into society throughout the decades of books?
Incredibly important to me. Um, they help give new perspectives. Like you can get a better idea of other people's points of view and their life experiences. And it's more personal than just like watching a video or something to me. And like the only thing I think that can get you closer is actually sitting down and talking with the person.
Do you think you need to have, do you think you need imagination to read a book so you can picture it in your head?
You need some imagination.
Because that's where I struggle. Sometimes I just get lost in it.
But there's some books that I read and I'm more into the words than the imagery, if that makes sense. Like I don't have like a mental movie going on while I'm reading it. I'm paying more attention to like the language, like, oh, I love how this word sounds or whatever. But then there's other books that I read and sometimes I'm like, wait, did I watch that? Oh no, it's just a book. They didn't make that into a movie because I can picture it so clearly.
I came across it with Into the Wild when he was crossing and describing the river that he had to cross. I forgot who wrote the book, but Into the Wild.
Yeah.
That's the first book I read out. I read in. I didn't even read it in school. I was in the top level class. I wasn't there. But after I read it, that's the first book I read on my own,
Cool.
and it made me want to travel more.
Yeah.
There's you come across that often where you read a book and like, oh, I want to experience it, or like it inspires you to do something out of your comfort zone.
Yes. um, when I was in, I want to say elementary school, I was really obsessed with these books by Susan Cooper. I don't I don't remember the titles right now, but a lot of them took place in like Wales and Cornwall and stuff. And I was just obsessed for those years. Like I wanted to go there so bad.
To where?
I think it was Wales and Cornwall. I know some of the words were actually Welsh. So for a little bit, I was really good at pronouncing Welsh things in
Well,
elementary school.
you go a genius right there. Is Cornwall in Wales?
It's near Wales.
Is it like its own little country?
Yes.
I never heard that. I heard Denmark, Wales.
Really bad at geography.
Dude, I am too. I think Chile was by Haiti, and I guess I was so sad.
Lucky I know that we're in Pennsylvania.
I only know where Pennsylvania is, honestly. I know the road is flat. What's your view on the book selection nowadays in schools or college? Like, do you think they're actually useful, or do you think they're kind of stupid? Because I know they banned a lot of books. So we'll touch on that later.
So I don't know what exactly people are reading in like high school and elementary school and stuff now. But for college, in my experience, book selection was great. There's some courses that sometimes I wonder, like, why is this a required English course, but not this other course? Like, I took Britlit 2, but it didn't count for my required coursework because I needed to take Britlit 1. And
That's Brit. Is that like British?
yeah, British literature, yeah. So there's things like that that I think are kind of silly, but I get it for like the bureaucracy side of things. It makes paperwork easier.
Because I know they banned a lot of books. They banned Dr. Seuss,
Hmm.
and I feel like you shouldn't, because like it really makes me feel like Fahrenheit 451 is really gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because if we keep banning books, like what's the point of
I
even reading?
understand it. So there's so many different levels to banning a book. First of all, it wasn't banned like universally. It was certain schools that banned certain books. And sometimes it's like a soft ban where they're just like, we're not teaching this anymore, but it's still in the library if you want to read it. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, let's see, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because if they get rid of it completely, then
Yeah, when they take it out of the library, I'm like, why? There's no reason for that.
it's censorship, and that sucks.
Hmm.
Censorship does suck a lot. Because I remember The Giver I read in
I read that.
school, Fahrenheit 451, Into the Wild, and The Ringer. Don't know what that one's about.
I've heard of that one. I haven't read it though.
Remember Hatchet? That was a good one.
I haven't read that one either.
Lord of the Flies?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't into Lord of the Flies, to be honest.
Why? Picky.
Yeah.
I really did like that book. That's one of my favorites. I actually asked my English teacher before I went, actually before I graduated, actually, I think, if I could have a copy of it, a school copy.
Oh,
And I'm
cool.
like, thank you if I can. But I regret it. But that was my favorite book. I love social societal books.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a certain name for it, like Lord of the Flies, Hatchet, like kind of like survival. But I really like The Giver, which is a
Utopian.
Yep.
Or dystopian,
I think
depending on how you look at it.
that's true because it did euthanize babies. Because I know there's another book that like 1984 by George Orwell.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I want to read no Pig Farm, I know Animal Farm
Yeah.
because that's more about fascism,
Yeah.
and I love how they're using animals to represent.
I kind of hate Animal Farm, for being honest, because
Why?
I feel like it's like an oversimplified, can't think of the word right now. It begins with an A. Almost like a fable. It's when you're telling a story of something that happened, but you're telling it differently. So um, instead of fascists, you have pigs or whatever. I feel like it's overly simplified and it doesn't really look at the nuances.
Analogy. No.
No, that's
No.
close though.
Do you know anything? So let's go on to the most useful book that you read, or a book that gave you like knowledge to do, or
I don't know if I can answer that one.
yeah, that was, high fives.
No, I just one book that
Or is there like, do you have like favorite? I know you're a Bizarro author. Do you want to explain what Bizarro is and
um
that whole genre?
that's also tough. Did a whole summer project on this in undergrad. I had a big poster and I presented at a conference at college. But yeah, Bizarro doesn't like to be defined. It definitely has punk aspects there, where there's a lot of rebellion going on. If it doesn't piss someone off, it's not Bizarro. A lot like punk. If you start a punk band and it doesn't offend anyone, it's not a punk band.
I love that analogy. I actually love that because that does encompass basically what Bizarro is. That it doesn't make it touches on points, kind of like how comics do offensive jokes,
Hmm.
but that's their job. Bizarro is somewhat similar to that, right?
Yeah,
Would you say? Where they take societal standards one and they twist it into a different way to represent what's really going on.
yeah. Sometimes it's not that smart. Sometimes it's more just entertaining. But
Because I think about Alice in Wonderland when I think about Bizarro.
Yeah.
or like the labyrinth, because it's random, but also has some points to it, and you take away some things from it that could apply to real life.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
I just amazing.
There's a quote that I think is from Eraserhead Press's website that I think explains it pretty well too. It says it's the literary equivalent of the cult section of a movie store.
Actually, really accurate too.
Yeah.
That's a good quote. Do you think banning books is good or bad?
Definitely bad.
Because I remember what I know World War II, they burnt like over 1,000 books,
Yeah.
and I feel like I don't understand why people burn that. I didn't do research on that part.
Yeah.
But what would make you burn some books out of nowhere? Like, would you say if a book was too knowledgeable, like, you could cure cancer with this book, would you burn it or
No.
would you share it?
Share it. Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
There's actually a big argument about this. I don't know if argument's the right word in academic publishing right now. Where so you know how like if you're in school or if you're in college or something, you have access to all of these research databases when you're writing papers and stuff. There's like WorldCat and JSTOR and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you can read like studies on curing cancer and things like that. But then you graduate and you don't have access to that anymore because the university was putting the paywall for it. Well, there's a lot of academic publishers now that are trying to move to open access. So me or you right now could just go on and read all of these papers. The only thing is that in order to do that, the people writing the papers need to foot the bill to have it published. Um, there's academics that are very for this. There's academics that are very against it. It's a whole thing. Personally, I like the idea.
Oh, of course, with the being open source.
Yeah.
See, that's honestly what I believe in myself is that books and stuff like that should be public knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
100%. Because like a lot of it you can learn, and I don't understand. Books are not harmful unless you throw at somebody. Then they're harmful. But like that's the only harm books are ever gonna do.
Yeah. Even if it's something you don't agree with, I think it can be useful to read it.
Exactly.
Even if your goal is just now you can argue against that point better.
Yeah,
Like you
like
need to understand what the opposite opinion is in order to argue with it.
it is kind of like how religion is. It seems like almost.
Yeah.
Because like I know there's some religious books that got banned because the majority in the state or whatever
Mm-hmm.
is opposite. And like I feel like that's gatekeeping and whatnot because from one side there always has to be a rebuttal or something. There's always has to be the opposite, a creator and a destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that ruins the fundamental things of I guess the world. It like makes it unbalanced.
Yeah.
There is one book no, like Aaron he's the creator of Reddit. Aaron Shorts, I think.
Okay.
He his story basically is he created Reddit. He also went to different downloaded free college books and made them public.
Cool.
Cool until he got fined and
Oh yeah, because that's illegal. But
still illegal. And he got fined for like $1 million.
yeah.
Because he published books and records.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's wrong. Not $1 million fines.
No.
Maybe like
No. Like I get from the standpoint like the people who wrote the book and the people publishing it need to make a living. They need some kind of pay, but textbooks are just so ridiculously expensive. I don't understand how to justify that.
actually that's right. He actually goes to college or went to college.
Yeah.
So like actually, how can you actually explain the prices of books as a whole? Because I went to college for one
Well,
day, got
as
one
an
book.
English major, I got off pretty easy. Most of the books I needed for core classes were just novels. But I mean, you could find them for like $5 if you wanted. I think there was a book that I found I think for like less than $2 online. But then for classes outside, so I was also a psych minor in undergrad, and those were stupid expensive. And it's not like I'm gonna like graduate. It's not like now that I've graduated, I have that textbook and I'm like, oh, I think I'll sit down and read about behavioral psychology tonight. I mean, yeah, maybe once in a while if I want to look something up, I can flip through it, but it's not like rereadable even really. And I mean, I could sell it back to the bookstore, but what they do is they keep coming out with new editions. So every few years, that course, in order to keep up with new knowledge, requires a new edition. So then the old edition that you paid like $200 for is just obsolete and useless.
So that is so much. I feel like textbooks should be honestly less than $100. Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like that should be the same. $100 at most. Because I do understand that some textbooks are more crucial and does affect the price, but no more than $100. I don't see that. And now I got. Can you describe the writing process as a writer? Like, I know you used to do what 1,000 words in a weekend.
Yeah,
Like
probably about that. So I was taking in grad school, I took a class called Novelcraft. I think it was that one. It was a series of classes where basically you just end up having a entire first draft of a novel written in a semester. And that was like 3,000 words a week, I think. It was a lot. I was a little bit crazy when I was taking that class. I was writing so much, but it was really useful to kind of get into that pattern of writing that much.
how long did it take you to do 3,000? Like each day or whatever, like an hour a day, or was it like 5 hours every day for the past like week?
It would depend on how inspired I was at the time. So, like, sometimes I would sit down and I'd pump out like 5,000 words. I'd do more than I needed to for the week. And then other weeks I'd sit down and I'd be like, fuck, I have no idea what any of these characters are doing or where the plot is going, even though I have a whole outline telling me that, but I don't agree with it anymore. That past self just didn't know what she was talking about. And I just sit there for an hour and kind of like stare at the screen, type a paragraph, and then erase a sentence, and type another paragraph, and then erase the first paragraph, and
Like that's how I was when I was trying to write my book. It got I didn't save it and exit out, so I stopped that.
oh no.
That made me anyway. Writer's block is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like I think it was 1,000. I think it's like 500 words in like a day because like you do have the idea, but like how do you get from point A to point B, and then you get more ideas during the time.
Hmm.
Then you go back and like, no.
Yeah.
So how do you get rid of writer's block, or do you just wing
Uh,
it?
I find that going for a walk out in the woods usually helps, or like I like wandering around cemeteries.
That's
That
true.
tends to help me too. Or I'll just sit down and read a whole bunch, and sometimes I'll get ideas from what I'm reading.
Do you if when do you do that when you read to get over writer's block? Do you try to read something similar to what you're writing, or just like I'm just gonna read Titanic and see what comes up with?
Um, Depends. So like right now I'm in the middle of like 7 books. I'm really bad at just reading one thing. So usually I'll just grab something that I already started reading. Um, I tend to try for something that's either really similar to what I'm working on or has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm working on. I don't know.
It's like thinking about it, I do wonder because reading books does take time. It took me I want to say like hours. I think I texted somebody, and so it's like it took me like 2 hours to read 100 pages.
I'm a slow reader too.
So how long do you think where 100 page book would take you?
To read?
Yeah.
It depends on the writing, really. Um, if it's like really flowery prose, that would probably take me a few days.
Oh, okay, then not so
If
bad
it's
then.
like, if it was like bizarro fiction, I might just sit down and read that in an hour. Probably not an hour, probably like 2 hours.
Okay, thank God. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm really behind in my reading if it takes you an hour and it takes you 2 hours. So when it comes to the writing process, is there anything that you should do to prepare, like do an outline, or do you think it's? I think it was Stephen King, where there's really no ending to his books.
Yeah.
Where he just like write down like the last sentence, and then he really just goes from the lot works backwards, basically.
Yeah.
The last sentence and work his way down.
That's how my dad would write. I'm the opposite. I usually don't do outlines or anything because I like not knowing how the book's going to end. That way I have something I'm trying to figure out while I'm writing. So I'm still excited about like, oh, what's going to happen?
Oh,
Because I'm
so
still getting there.
okay, I like that a lot because that's kind of how I was. But then I got lost of what the ending was going to be.
Yeah.
Do you get lost a lot? Because I have ADHD, so it's hard for me to.
It's usually the middle where I get lost.
Would that be what the climax or the exposition? No, rising action.
Yes, no, somewhere around the rising action.
You want to create drama? Shame, shame, shame.
No, it'll be details. I'll be like, I know this character is going to do this thing to this character for this reason, and I get lost with, okay, so how do they do that?
Makes sense. Is there any books that you feel like should be banned?
No,
No, no.
none at all.
About beginner the anarchy's cook guide.
I'm fine with that. I don't think it should be banned.
So you're okay if I want to make a napalm and they can look up how to make a napalm?
I mean, you could probably find it online if you tried hard enough. You don't need the book.
I will make a meth.
Definitely find that online if you wanted to. You don't need the book.
Solid.
I mean, with the town we're in, you could probably just like walk down the street and ask someone.
Really, just knock on the door like, hey.
Hey, I was just wondering, could you tell me how to make meth?
Yeah,
I lost my recipe.
I have a book that got banned. Do you
Grandma wouldn't tell me your secret ingredient.
think the world would? I feel like the world is really turning to Fahrenheit 451. I feel like we're going to get to the point where we're just gonna ban other books and dumb everything down. Because we are already dumbing stuff down. Look at Teen Titans.
Yeah, that makes me sad.
And yeah.
I was just rewatching the original last month because I needed it.
Where do you find that? Where'd you watch it? Like legit.
I remember it. Or it was probably for Amazon. 'Cause we don't Netflix right now.
Oh, well, thank you, because off the record, I do want to watch that. Because it really touched on really mature points.
Yeah.
And even racism at one episode.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
Chibbies.
yeah!
I actually feel like we're getting closer to 1984 than Fahrenheit 451. I think we have some like double think going on and
Big Brother. Yeah. Oh, Newspeak. Oh, I'm so sorry.
But all the speeding cars in 451, that's something that always sticks with me.
Have you watched the movie?
I think I watched part of it in school. I don't really remember it.
The only part I remember is honestly when they're getting chased and they had like jetpacks. Like kind of like an Attack on Titan reminds me of.
Okay.
Movies. Don't understand that part. That just part got ingrained in my brain because it was such a random part of the movie that made no sense.
Yeah.
Why like Attack on Titan go jet?
Somebody was probably like, "This looks cool. Kids will watch this."
Yeah, no, someone traumatized me. There is a lot of movies based on books. Is there any good reputation from the book to the movies? Because the like game movies like Mario,
Mhm.
that live action from like 1990 whatever,
Mhm.
sucked.
Yeah.
And Minecraft movie, not the best, but it was kind of close to the game
Yeah.
and the story base. Is there a lot? Is there any books that were made into movies that just absolutely missed the mark?
A ton. What am I thinking of? The original Dune movie from I think it was from the 80s. Um, Pretty sure David Lynch did it, and I love David Lynch, but it had like nothing to do with the book. It was bad. I love Dune. It's amazing.
I never watched it. It reminds me of Mad Max. I saw
I
the.
watched. Yeah, I did watch the new movie, but the book is incredible. Like it goes into all sorts of like geopolitics and yeah, it's just there's too much political intrigue in that to be made into a movie that really captures all of it. But the new movies are decent. They cover like the whole world building at least pretty well.
How about Twilight?
I am proud to say that I've never read the book or seen the movies.
Why are you
I
here?
don't do sparkly vampires. I'm sorry. I've read almost everything Anne Rice has written.
But there's werewolves, sexy werewolves.
Are they sexy though?
No, but but everyone's like
No. I'll stick with Lasher.
that work. I think you're actually being accurate that we're heading towards 1984 though.
Yeah.
It was like the three towers. That's like the three countries at this point.
Yeah, kind of.
Like each country is like a separate tower, and we're like the loved one that is like the most corrupt.
Yeah.
That's what I really feel like. I feel like we are really going on with this dystopia rather than anything else.
Yeah, I think so too.
That sucks.
And the interesting thing is that I feel like I don't like making everything into a dichotomy because I don't agree with our two-party system being a two-party system. I think there should be more options. But that said, I feel like both sides of the political spectrum agree that we're heading towards a dystopian thing, and just nobody can agree how to fix it.
I feel like that's really the worst part of everything, like down to the core. If we can't compromise, that's really what's gonna head to.
Which, to go back to what you were saying about books being important, if people read more, we get a better idea of how other people think, and then it's easier to talk about things and come to a mutual agreement.
Bingo! It comes very full circle.
Yeah.
Because the power of books and knowledge.
Yeah.
That's actually a cool thought. It's a very cool thought.
Thank you.
I feel so I texted you a couple days ago about a theory about Fahrenheit 451 and 1984.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
I was walking and I did have no headphones in, and I was like, "All right, there's the theory. Do you did it make sense to you when you thought about it?" And I'll explain.
First, and then the harder I thought about it, the less sense it made.
It's been a while since I read both books.
Yeah.
So my theory is it started as Fahrenheit 451. They banned the books and got everything a little bit dumber.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they say any dates in any of the 1894 kind of did say a date.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it started with Fahrenheit 451.
I think that one's just supposed to be distant future.
Well, it makes sense, so actually. And then it goes into
1984.
1984 and like, no free speech. We're going to watch you.
Yeah.
If you think we're going to kidnap you and make your face different
Mm-hmm.
and then kill you again.
Yeah.
That ending of the book did put me in a whole surprise.
Oh.
Like, I feel like we're getting spoiler right here, honestly.
Yeah.
Spoiler, the fact that,
Rats.
yeah. The person who, like, helped him and her get to the point where they are,
Yeah.
change the face, and then turns out to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
You can never trust anybody.
No. No,
No.
that's like the whole idea. It's just this alienation where yeah, you can't connect with anyone because you're always worried that somebody's going to turn you in for something.
Oh,
You
that
just
goes
have to be
really far.
suspicious all the time.
That takes real world, actually. That's real world stuff right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
And that's where we're gonna head. So that works out perfectly, it seems like. Is there anything you would like to plug or say before we head off to
Keep your eyes and ears open for a new mobile game maybe coming out soon.
What is it about? What's the name? Give me the deets.
I don't have a name yet, but it's gonna follow. It's kind of like a text-based mobile game. If you're familiar with like Duskwood or Simulacra, then you'll probably like this one. Hopefully,
Those are really good. You can find them in the App Store.
yeah.
Dustwood. I played it. I personally like it. So I'm really excited for the Untitled app premiere
Yay!
because, like, you're a really good writer. You can read her. You can find her on Amazon under Sarah.
Karasek.
Do you want to spell that? Because I can't spell it.
Karasek.
Perfect. So it's gonna be. Do you? Can you tell us anything about the game? Just follow like Dustwood.
So the premise is going to be it's taking place on this new texting app. So you as the player will have signed up for this app and you end up getting in contact with this ghost hunting team and weird shit happens.
Honestly, that already sounds exciting to be honest, because that's supernatural. Plus, we are always on our phones texting,
Yeah.
and the decisions are going to be wonderful. Have a good one, and I'll see you later, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.